Cops here and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be cooking with apples. And to me, nothing says fall in New England like apples. I love them. I like to eat them out of hand. I like them in applesauce. I like them in apple cider. I like to chop them up and put them into salads. But mostly I love a great apple pie. And today we're going to make an apple pie that gets a turbocharge with some sliced almonds and almond paste and a secret recipe. Well, not so secret. I'm going to share it with you today from my friend Joanne Chang. She owns Flour Bakery in Boston, and this is her super buttery tart dough recipe. So here we go. Let's get cooking. In the bowl of a food processor, I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 2 teaspoons of sugar and a pinch of salt, and that'll just really bring out all the other flavors that are going to be in this dough. Then 11 tablespoons of unsalted butter, because we've already put the salt in. We're going to control the salt here, and into the food processor. Now, it's very important that this butter stays very cold. That's going to help keep this dough nice and flaky. And 1 large egg yolk. And when I crack eggs, I like to crack them on a flat surface. That way the shell doesn't crack in and you won't get eggshells in your egg. So crack, and then right in half. And then just using the 2 halves of the eggshell, it's natural sort of scooping action, and the yolk, there it goes. It's giving us a hard time. It's going, and it just separates right from the yolk. The yolk goes into 2 tablespoons of milk, and that's going to make our dough nice and rich. I'm going to mix them together. That way they'll incorporate into the flour. Okay. Now the butter. I'm just going to pulse it a few times so that it gets to know the flour. So there you go. That's just the right size. In goes our egg yolk and milk. And this is important. You just want it to come together. And that is it. Now you're going to probably say, Annie Cops, that is no pie dough. But I promise you, it all comes together and it's super flaky and super tender. I know, it looks like a mess, but this is what we do. Very, takes a bit, gently pull it together. This until you kind of have a thing that sticks together. And as it gets more and more looking like a dough, smear it a little bit. And again, like that. And that's going to really make the butter come out in sheets when it's baking. And that's going to make it all the more light and crispy. Okay, and just to pull it all together, a bench scraper is a handy tool, but you can just use your hands too. And there you go, you form a nice ball. Now, I'm going to wrap it up in plastic wrap, and you can really wrap it up tight and freeze it for a good 6 weeks or so. I love having this dough in the freezer, especially in the summer. You can make a nice peach tart with this all year round. But it does have to get to know each other for at least a half an hour. It's for that butter to harden up and for the flour and everybody to get to know each other. All right, so into the fridge that'll go. So here's our pie dough out of the refrigerator, and I've rolled it out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. And instead of doing it on a lightly floured work surface, I've done it in between 2 sheets of wax paper. You could use parchment paper. It's much cleaner and it's much easier. Also, I mentioned turbocharging. This is almond paste that I've also rolled out in between 2 sheets of wax paper. And what it is ground up almonds, and you can get that in the baking section of just about any grocery store. Now, it doesn't matter on either of these if they're perfectly round. If you have ragged edges, that's perfectly fine. So we're just going to turn this almond paste out on top of our pie dough. There you go. And it doesn't matter if it's perfect or if it breaks. And now for the star of our show, apples. In this bowl, I have about 4 medium peeled, sliced, and cored apples. I like to use a mix of apples. Use whatever you like. Whatever is your favorite, that's the one that's important. So we're going to arrange them around the edge of our pie dough here. And I have sprinkled some cinnamon and some ginger, just to warm things up, make them really nice and fall tasting. Some brown sugar, that's going to help thicken things up and sweeten it. And a little bit of lemon. And what the lemon will do is that'll keep these beautiful apples from turning brown and getting all soggy. Who needs that? And there you go. This also works nicely with a mix of apples and peaches. How about that? Now we take the edges of our dough and gently fold it in. And this is open faced, there's no top crust. And if you get a hole or something like that, like there's a wee one over here, just squeeze it together. There you go. Now, remember that egg white that we had? We're going to use that as a little bit of an egg wash around the outside. So I'm just going to whip it up a little bit with a fork, and then using a pastry brush, brush the outsides. It's going to help it brown up nicely and give it a nice shine. And we're going to put some sugar on the outside as well, so that'll help the sugar stick. Okay, so the sugar's on there, and we're just going to finish it up with the almonds, which kind of repeats that almond paste that's on the bottom of the tart. And then into a 375-degree oven. I'd start checking it at about 40 minutes. That's it. This is really delicious. The tart dough is so flaky, and the almonds and the apples, what a great marriage.